It's podcast o'clock, ladies and gentlemen. And this one is from a new destination, one that I've yet to do. On my quest to 100 countries, this is number 80. And quite a big number, that one. And therefore, slightly more interesting country than normal. It's Africa, it's Senegal. Yep. West Africa. In fact, not only West Africa, the most West Africa you can be. If you look at a map of Africa, go west-west, go the west a bit more, and that big lump that's sticking out, the really, really westerly bit, that is Dakar, and that is the capital of Senegal. And Senegal is pretty average by African standards in country size, perhaps a little bit smaller than normal. Gambia is tiny. It's basically just a large river that looks a bit like a colon if you look at it on a map. And on this podcast, you'll be hearing from Senegal and Gambia. Why? Because there's something to do, and it's January, which means it's 28 degrees here, and in Toronto, where I formerly lived, it's -3, and in London, it's +2. Both of those are a bit shit, whereas Senegal is tip-top, if you don't mind. 28 degrees as the evening draws in. You might hear some vague drumming in the background. I believe there's some slightly more touristy place further up the beach that's quite nice, and they can afford dancers and drummers and all that kind of thing. But for me, however, I'm just going to turn off something. Hang on. I've invested in a GoPro, which does a lot of beeping. Some of this, maybe, if it goes well, will be available on YouTube as a video, if you're interested in that sort of thing. But right now, I'm drinking a Flag, the beer of Senegal, one of two. The other beer is Gazelle. And I'm in a place called Djiffer, I believe is how you say it. So if you're interested, go to Dakar, hang around for a couple of days, and then head south. On the way to The Gambia, you will find a place called Seine Salem Delta, the Seine Salem Delta, which is a big delta, i.e. river mouth, going out to the Atlantic Ocean, and a few dusty little towns with horse and carts and dusty little bars exist on the shores of that delta in a town called Djiffer, and that's where I am now, spelt confusingly Djiffer, or if you're cool, DJ Iffer. That is where I am, and I've got myself a beer, and I thought I'd tell you about Senegal because, well, I'm here and you might want to come. It's a bit early to say whether you should come. My gut feeling is you should. Why wouldn't you? It's Africa and you don't need a visa. It's quite cheap, and whilst you're on the beach, you'll hear the sound of drumming and donkeys. I mean, if that's not a sales pitch, I don't know what is. But I think you should come here, but you probably should be prepared that it's not Africa light, not quite as light as I thought it was. So a great deal of people that have been to this continent have gone to Cape Town, which is of course beautiful, if unfortunately rather dangerous, and South Africa in general. That's the sort of Africa light. Weirdly, it's actually far more dangerous down there than it is up here, even though a lot of people would think it was the other way around. Senegal is incredibly safe. It's majority Muslim by a long way. It's about 90% Muslim, 10% Christian, something like that. And of course, there's crossover religions as well. So some people that are Muslim also believe in the sort of tribal, old school religions, and some people that are Christian also cross it over with some old school tribal religions as well. But generally speaking, it's a Muslim country, but Muslim light as well, because you can get a beer, no problem. And it's fairly groovy. You know, women have rights, if sadly not quite as many as they should have, but generally speaking, as Islamic countries go, this one is very relaxed and groovy and safe, and those bastards Boko Haram have fortunately got nowhere near it. I did actually want to go to Mali and Mauritania to the north, and I've always been interested in Dogon architecture, man, like 1,000-year-old huts made of cow poo with sticks sticking out of them from some of the ancient civilizations of Africa. they are mega interesting. But if you believe the warnings, and maybe you should, they are nowadays, thanks to those absolute cocks that are Boko Haram, unfortunately not really safe. That is a mosque in the background. Perhaps that is the retaliation to me calling radicalised Muslim people cocks. But yeah, that's quite normal. 5 times a day you'll hear the call to prayer. I actually didn't know there was a mosque down the road. Didn't see that one. But you can bloody well hear it, that's for sure. 5 in the morning that starts. And you'd think they'd sort those speakers out, wouldn't you, really? I think you'd agree, no matter where you're from in the world, that man couldn't hold a tune in a bucket. But that isn't really the point. The call to prayer happens 5 times a day, not to show off his singing skills. This is not X Factor Senegal. This is the call to prayer. So, lads, you need to be facing Mecca, getting on your prayer mat, and doing a prayer. Now, I'm crossing over into slightly uncharted territory here, and I'm worried that my flippant nature may be offending people. If so, please don't think it is. I've been to 80 countries now. This is my 80th, and I'm extremely respectful of all cultures when I get there. So please bear in mind, I'm just a casual observer enjoying your beautiful country. And it is beautiful. So let's talk about Senegal. Capital, Dakar. Just been there, 1.5 million people, pretty big. Certainly not that big by African standards as capitals go. West Africa is really interesting. Basically, nearly everyone, 51% of West Africa, live in Nigeria. And then behind that, you've got Ghana, which is quite populated, and a few other places. But generally speaking, there's quite a lot of not that populated countries for African standards, and Senegal's one of them. So, yeah, Dakar's only got 1.5 million people in it. And it's worth a visit because it's absolutely class A fucking mental. That's what it is. I always think when I go to capital cities that they're going to be the slightly more sanitised, boring version of wherever it is. Not really with Dakar. Like, you are in the centre of the capital and you walk out of your hotel and the first thing you see is 7 women washing other people's clothes, essentially a manual laundromat, and next to them is like 4 or 5 goats, and then next to the goats is a man doing some metal work, just building some, like, I don't know, balconies or something for a building that someone's working on. And then next to that you've got a guy selling like Nescafe from a little stand, his little coffee stand, just selling instant coffee. And next to that you've got a guy selling baguettes, and next to that you've got someone doing some woodwork, making a bed. You get the idea, it's just loads going on. Oh, by the way, I'm outside a bar, and the national language here is French, as well as their tribal languages, and there may be a man listening to everything I'm saying, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't speak English, so I'll just keep going. Yeah, he's doing something in there, who knows. Yeah, so what else can I tell you? Once you leave Dakar, you'll head south, perhaps, if you want, that's what I did, and you'll head to a place. Ultimately, I'm going to the Gambia, but on the way, you'll stop at Djiffer which is a sort of beach town. A few too many plastic bottles on the beach for my liking, but worth a look. Dusty, crazy little town with donkeys pulling stuff about, and then you'll carry on south, and you will end up here in Djiffer, and that's the mouth to this beautiful delta, this very wide delta. You can barely see the other side of the river that's just come in, or come out, I suppose, to the Atlantic. Yes, rivers come out to the Atlantic, not in. That would be mental. But yeah, so I'm looking at these kind of tiki huts on the sand. It's 28 degrees, the sun's going down. There's some fishermen out on the delta casting their nets and reeling them back in the last few precious moments of light before they have to come back in for the evening. And various animals. Basically, in this part of Africa, you're never far away from a donkey or a dog, or in this case, a man with a shit speaker. Yeah, so that's been going on, and I really recommend it. It's pretty good vibes here. It's very peaceful, and there's a few Christians, as I say, and they mix very well with the Muslims, and the Muslims mix well with the Christians. Generally speaking, it's really peaceful, Not a lot of drinking, no drugs, absolutely zero drugs. You get 5 years if you're even caught with a joint, so that pretty much stamps that out. And you've got a very green country, despite the fact that it's perishingly hot right now. There's some pretty big rains in August, so the best time to come is around now, when everyone else is getting bored and stressed at work in January. Best thing you can do is make advantage of those cheap flights and go via Portugal if you can, have a night over in Lisbon and then head down to Dakar. It's going to cost you about 320, 350 euros, something like that for the flight, and which I admit is quite expensive, but once you're here, prices are really cheap. 150 a beer, 20, maybe 25 for a night's accommodation. And yeah, it's groovy. It's got everything if you want Africa a bit more mental. Like, so if you want creature comforts, 4 or 5-star hotel, great food that is extremely reliable, westernised, then this is without doubt the most stupid place you could come. But if you want to see all kinds of outdoor activities going on in the bustle of markets, full of colour, and just wander around absorbing it all in while sucking on a coconut, and maybe having a couple of palm wines in a dodgy establishment, and chatting to the absolutely idiotically friendly locals, like friendly to the nth degree, then this is the place for you. Senegal. And as I walk, almost comedically, I wish you could see this, there's 2 women walking up the beach with fish in buckets on their heads and bright colours draped around them, smiling and laughing in the last moments of daylight. And it's times like this you think, yeah, I don't want a fucking stupid first-class 5-star hotel with a man playing boring piano just like every other city in the world. I think this is the place for me. So join me, I'll podcast a little bit more from Senegal and the Gambia, have a quick squiz on a map if you don't know where it is, and you'll enjoy it that little bit more. You're listening to me, Vinny, wandering around Africa and enjoying myself.
ni seet naa la ci kanam gu ma gis ci mbedd mi yeneen naa yoonu cinéma yoonu amal fii ci biir loolu laa doon sos yoon wi may jaar bés bu ne ma xëy jaro yow nga di ma ree.
I'm in quite a relaxed mode. I'm in a hammock on a beach, which I appreciate anyone listening to this suddenly thinks that I should be smashed to bits with a hammer if you're listening to this at work and things are boring and it's cold. So I acknowledge that that is a bit of an arsehole thing to say, but I'm on me holidays. One of the things about Senegal is because it's hot and chaotic, you definitely do need to put in your itinerary some chill out time, because otherwise it all gets a bit much. But what I thought I'd do, I've had a sleep since I last chatted to you, and I thought it might be an idea to go through what the Lonely Planet says, the Lonely Planet West Africa, the Senegal section. Let's see what they say, and let's see if I agree with it. And it's been quite helpful, this book. I find, I might have mentioned this before in other travels, I do find the Lonely Planets slightly irritating, because I find every now and then they wedge in a few words that are never used in the modern lexicon of anyone apart from an English professor that's trying to be a bit flashy. And they should be far more conversational and easygoing, and perhaps have some like call-out boxes with people's actual experiences, rather than say, rather than generally the bus leaves from this time and leaves from this time and costs about this much, which is all very helpful. It would be nice every now and then for someone to go, generally the bus leaves at this time and it costs this much. On my bus, a cow walked out in front of the road and we hit it, and it delayed us for an hour, but it was quite funny because we all ended up in a bar. You know, that's the shit that actually happens. So that would be nice to read. There you go, Lonely Planet. You can have that for nothing. What's that? You want to offer me a contract travelling the world and pay me loads of money to do it? Go on then. Oh, you had me at money. Right, let's have a look. Why go to Senegal, ladies and gentlemen? Though it's one of West Africa's most stable countries, Senegal is far from dull. All right, let's break that down. Yeah, I agree with that, because you could be in Mauritania, and although everyone I've met that's been through Mauritania says it's fine, the books say that it's full of Boko Haram and you might be kidnapped. So, I don't know, I'd like your opinions on that, but it is unquestionable that this is a very stable country for West Africa. The fact you don't need a visa to get here, the fact that I can walk the streets at night, the fact that there's no fear of kidnapping, the fact that women are treated far more equally than many West African countries. Not to say they're equal. We've got room for manoeuvre there. But yeah, I think that's a reasonable point. It is not dull, it is far from dull, and it is stable. So far, so good. 10 points. Dakar, the capital, is a dizzying, street hustler-rich introduction to the country. Elegance meets chaos. Yep, agree with all of that. Absolutely. Elegance in the beautiful, clean, sparkling, sometimes sequin-encrusted dresses of the ladies, in amongst goats and manic noises and fumes. A hustler-rich introduction to the country. Elegance meets chaos. Snarling traffic, vibrant markets and glittering nightlife, while nearby Ile de Gore and the beaches of Yoff and Ngor tap to slow, lazy beats. Oh, Ile de Gore is that island which has got no cars on it, which I went to and is amazing, well worth a look. Bit sad though, because it's also where they exported slaves from, and you can learn all about that. But it's you might want to stay a night there, because it's pretty peaceful, man. It's nice to get away from the traffic. As with all islands, it does indeed tap to slow, lazy beats, with the exception of Jersey and Guernsey, full of old people. In northern Senegal, the enigmatic capital of Saint Louis is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So that's the old French colonial town, right? And it's quite a trek to get up there. It's on the border with Mauritania, and I was going to go, but it seems like there's more stuff to do heading south. So yeah, I'm sure it is really interesting. The problem is, for me personally, I've seen a lot of colonial architecture. After all, I'm from a colonial country. So I've been to like Vietnam and seen in Hoi An what the French did there. Really cool to see all those old dusty buildings. I've been to Cuba and seen what the Spanish did there. I know I sound like a gloating prick, but just go with me. When you have seen one, you kind of have seen them all. The sort of old architecture that strikes back to when it was ruled by other people, that has been somewhat neglected. Mega interesting, makes great photos. If you're into that sort of thing and you haven't seen it, if you haven't been to, I don't know, Granada in Nicaragua, for example, or plenty of other places around the world, then yes, I'm sure it will be right up your Straza. But for me, I've seen quite a lot of that stuff around the world, so for me, it's a nil point. Okay, along the Petite Côte and Cap Skiering, wide strips of beaches beckon and wide deltas invite mesmerising boat journeys amid astounding biodiversity, including hundreds of bird species. Yeah, big bird spotting place this. And that wind that you can hear is the wind coming off that delta. I am sat next to a huge river mouth, and I have to say, pretty bloody gorge, and you might even hear some of those lovely birds. Unfortunately, I don't know anything about birds, feathered or otherwise, and I therefore am a little bit naive as to what's going on in the ornithological world. Is that right? Is it ornithological? I'm trying to be impressive. I'm doing a bit of a Lonely Planet, really, chucking in a look at me word. I think that's right. I don't know, it might be the study of bloody helicopters for all I know. So there you go. Do I agree with the Lonely Planet? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a bang-on article. I think that's absolutely brilliant. It finally finishes with, whether you want to mingle with the trendsetters of urban Africa or be alone with your thoughts to the sounds of nature, you'll find your place in Senegal. Yeah, that's absolutely right. And the trips between places, which are going to happen in taxis, and very rarely do you get a taxi to yourself, as normally someone else jumps in along the way, or you're going to get a bus, in which case they only leave when they're full, and they might have like 10 people in a minibus. They are mesmerisingly mad. Every time you stop, someone chucks some bananas through the window or bags of water, and various different hawkers, I believe is the word, try to sell their goods. And it's just like loads of chat going on. And also, one of the other things is you're a delivery service. So every now and then the bus will just veer off to some dusty alleyway and drop off like an engine part that they've attached to the roof to some garage or some guy, and then just a few notes will change hands and off you go again. So there's always something to look at on those buses. It's I wouldn't call them relaxing, but they're definitely very interesting. I brought a book with me and I've only read about 5 pages because every time I got into it something would stop. The huge bloody minibus door, which was hanging on by a few threads, would open and someone would push a bunch of bananas in my face. Yeah, it's not everyone's bag, but it's certainly not boring. If anyone's ever described Senegal as boring, they haven't been to Senegal. They probably got off the wrong plane and walked around Dubai. Yeah, so there you go, Dakar. Let's have a quick look at that. So I've just been to Dakar. Let's see what the Lonely Planet say. Dakar is a city of extremes where horse cart drivers chug over swish highways and gleaming SUVs squeeze through tiny sand roads. Okay. Don't think I saw any gleaming SUVs. Beaten up cars, yeah. Gleaming, no. Where elegant ladies dig skinny heels into dusty walkways and suit-clad businessmen kneel for prayer in the middle of the street. Yeah, that's kind of mind-blowing, that. I'm watching a lot of guys in a row kneeling down and doing their outdoor prayer, pointing to Mecca. I've never seen that before. Once a tiny settlement in the south of the Cap Vert Peninsula, Dakar now spreads across almost its entire triangle and keeps growing. Yeah, it does. That's one of the problems though, because it's this triangle that juts out to sea, and because over the years it's been getting more and more busy, and it's now home to 1.5 million. Just for reference, by the way, Senegal is home to about 15 million, and yeah, Dakar is home to 1.5 million. It's quite hard to get in and out because there's only 1 or 2 highways that go into the depths of that triangle that is Dakar. There's a railway. There's a railway. This is so classic, right? There's a railway that you can go to. It's this beautiful colonial station in the middle of Dakar, right? Kind of near the port. You'll see it because it's so beautiful. And it's been really well preserved and looked after. And then you go into the station, because obviously nothing online makes any sense and books are always out of date. So you think, right, I want to get out of Dakar. I'll go to the station and I'll just get a train out of Dakar, because getting into it was such an epic and the traffic was so slow and there were so many fumes. Surely there's an easier way to get out. So you go to the station and a security guard will say, there's no trains today or tomorrow or the next day or the next week or ever. That was generally the conversation. And then when I did finally look it up online, apparently they haven't been running for years. It used to run all the way. There's a fella on a donkey coming down the beach. A bit Blackpool. It used to run all the way down Dakar into Mali and on to Bamako. Yeah, well that train doesn't fucking go anywhere now. You can forget about it because it doesn't even run out of the town, even though the station's all gorgeous and there's cleaners cleaning everything in there. I don't know who's paying for it, but something's gone very wrong there because there are no trains in and out. And it's weird because the line itself, I saw the train line in a few places because the roads cross over it. It looks gorgeous. I'm no engineer, but it looks like it's all right. But obviously something's gone wrong. Like so many things in Africa, the colonials left quite a legacy. Well done, you built a train line. Okay, you probably did it with slaves and you did it in a brutal way, but well done. At least after all that, you guys have got a train line. Off pop the French, leave them a train line, don't tell them how to look after it, don't tell them about maintenance, bugger off, And sure enough, no one quite knows how to look after a train line because there's only a few around the place, and so slowly and painfully it just falls into decrepency and degradation until it can't be used anymore. The trains stop working, the governments are slightly corrupt, they don't put any money into it, and all of a sudden you have a gleaming station that looks gorgeous and a train line that goes fucking nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. A lot of people just go to the station just for a peek at it, just to see what it's like. Finally, for the traveller, there's much to discover, from peaceful islands just offshore to vertiginous, see what I mean? Vertiginous, I don't even know what that means. Vertiginous nightlife. What the fuck? Dancing to Mblaks beats. Mblaks is the local kind of slightly westernised tribal beats, if you like. You can spend your days browsing frantic markets and taking in the sights of bustling downtown. Following all of that, you can have sunset drinks overlooking the crashing waves. Yeah, if you can afford it. I personally stay in slightly rougher places away from cocktail bars. At once both intimidating and deeply alluring, Dakar is fascinating and a great introduction to Senegal. There you go. Well, I think I'm going to get my arse out of this hammock and go and get a boat somewhere. I think I might go to the Gambia, a whole new country. I don't know how to get there, but I'll ask around, see what happens. Many years ago, I would have been very stressed about this, but nowadays I know that you just have to ask about 20 people and one of them will know. And he'll have a mate that will have a boat, and the next thing you know, you're on that boat. And then there's a little moment where you think, they could just throw me off and take my wallet. And then usually by that point, and some outrageous paranoia, sometimes brought on by a hangover, you'll get to the other side of the delta. Sun will be shining, and you'll have a nice mango in the sun. I think that's what will happen. I mean, of course, unless you never hear from me again, in which case my fears have come true. This recording was found at the bottom of a delta, and I'm dead now. But let me tell you, I died smiling. Big love, ta-ta. If ever you've wondered, dear podcast listener, how I managed to navigate my way around Africa when I don't speak any of the tribal languages or even French, and this is a former French colony, I'll let you into the secret. So right now I'm following some dude across the beach, and he knows a man that knows a man that's got a boat that could take me across the mouth of the delta to a place called Toubakouta. I've probably messed that up. Toubakouta. Toubakouta? Toubakouta. Yeah. So that's where we're going. We're going to go and talk to this guy about a boat. So I met him outside an electrical shop where he told me to stop filming because I was doing a bit of filming. Pretty nervy on the filming, they're not big fans. And then he said, "What are you doing anyway?" And I said in English, "Just going to get a boat to Toubakouta." And he said, "I know a man," I think, in French. I don't know what he said. He could have said, "I like toilet duck. It's my favourite brand of toilet cleaner." Oh yeah, which one?
It's very nice.
That one?
Well, yeah.
Okay, that's a very skinny boat. Okay.
Last price, if to last price too.
How long does it take to get to Toubakouta?
What?
1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour?
4 normalement, 4 ou 5 heures. Nous, moi,
4.
ouais, 4 ou...
1, 2, 3, 4 horas.
Ouais,
Ah.
4 secondes.
4 hours in a skinny
Non, 5,
boat.
c'est... Là, je vous amène à Toubakouta.
Oui.
Je retourne la nuit. Moi, je passe ici la nuit.
Ah, okay. I mean, I don't understand, but yeah. Okay, cool. Merci beaucoup. Et...
Moi, je live ici. Voilà.
So, I don't want to get in this thing. I think it's running on baking soda. Now he's taking me into a hut. And you might be thinking, well, don't go into a hut with a stranger. He could stab you and nick your money. Yeah, I don't think he's going to. Is this his house? Or is this my last moment on Earth? Oh, I think it's his house. Is this your house? Tu
My
casa?
house, ouais.
Oh, nice.
Et,
You've got no
moi-
windows? No ventanas?
yeah.
Oh.
Et moi, je dors ici. Et voilà, mon pièce.
Aha.
Vous pouvez donner la compte.
Identification.
Écoute,
Yeah.
moi, j'ai la cette licence. Tu
Oui.
gardes ça, tu donnes le compte.
Dakar. Ah. Oh, you look good for 50. Very good. Okay.
Tu donnes le compte, tu gardes ça.
Yeah, I'm going to take your phone number. Okay. And then if I want a boat, I'll call you. So here we go. Two number. Put it in there. Yeah. As you can tell, I don't actually speak French. So I speak a combination of Spanish, English, and bullshit. So you're putting your number in my phone. That's good. Merci. Add number. Create new contact. Y tu nombre. What is it? Let me see it on the ID here. Prenoms. Badara.
Badara, Gajaga.
Gadiaga.
Ouais.
Gadiaga. I'll put in Gadiaga.
Moi,
So this guy's called Gadiaga Badara. Gadiaga. I mean, obviously, I'm never going to. This is like in a couple of years, I'll look at my phone and there'll be Gadia Bagada in my phone and I'll think, who the fuck's
moi
that?
j'amène des gens des pirogues.
Oh, look at this.
T'as vu?
He's got
Moi,
some,
celui-là, la barca.
yeah, some photographs of him on his boat. Oh, these photographs look like they've had a hard time.
Bruxelles.
Oh, you've been to Brussels?
Ouais,
Yeah.
C'est des amis. C'est des amis qui m'envoient ça.
Yeah. Oh,
T'as
look at
vu?
this. It's got
Coupe
postcards
l'Allemand.
from France.
T'as vu? Moi,
Belgium.
celui-là. J'amène dans les pirogues.
Oh, yeah.
Ils ont porté des
Yeah.
chapeaux comme ça.
Ah, okay.
Ah, avec la soleil.
Oui.
T'as vu?
Oh, Avignon,
Ouais, mignon.
France. Yeah. Lots of postcards.
Ouais.
Who's this?
Ah,
Your wife?
ça, c'est ma femme.
Your fam? Oh, very pretty. Oh, that's nice.
T'as vu?
Wow.
T'as vu? C'est des amis qui m'ont envoyé ça. Des
Yeah.
amis qui sont amenés à Toubakouta, Gambie. Ils m'ont envoyé ça.
You've been everywhere on this boat. I'm just guessing, he said, but you know better than me. Okay, Gadiaga, I'll call you.
Non, essence, moi, quand vous voulez. À
Yeah,
combien,
yeah,
à combien,
yeah,
à
yeah.
Combien peut donner?
Oh, he's not letting me go, this
Combien?
guy. Yeah.
Combien peut donner maximum?
Oh, he wants my number. Oh, fuck.
Maximum, combien peut donner?
Right. What?
Combien?
Oh,
Maximum.
right, okay. Combien maximum.
Ouais.
So I'll pay 90,000. Okay, maybe.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
Vous pouvez pas donner 20 000. Je compte 20 000, après vous mettez ici.
Ok.
Verse licence, 20 000.
I'll call you. So my name is Vinny. Okay? Vinny.
Ouais.
Vinny.
Ton ami.
Vincent.
Ouais.
Yeah, mi nombre. Vincent.
Vincent.
So I'll call you up and I'll meet you here. All right?
À quelle heure?
I don't know. All right. Merci beaucoup. So, I mean, sorry, that was obviously. Oh, Christ, now he's talking to me again. No, I've got to go. I'm going now. I'll see you too. I'll call you. Bye. I'm walking off. Holy fuck. Okay. Hey, how you doing? Okay, so I mean that was a bit painful. Sorry you had to witness that. If you're still listening, you're incredibly patient. So he was saying, with a calculator, that he wants 90,000 cephas to get on a boat for 4 hours and travel across the mouth of the delta. Fuck me, he's running after me. Oh, dude. I'm going to pretend I'm on the phone. For 40,000.
La pièce d'identité.
Oh, it's in the cards.
Ouais, Badala.
Yeah, you mean the ID?
Ouais.
Yeah, it's in there.
Où ça?
Yeah. Come on. Now he's lost his ID. Oh, I understand. Yeah, no, don't worry.
Ouais.
No problem. Now he's lost his ID. Okay, where's the cards?
Ah, ok.
Yeah. Okay.
Ouais, yeah.
No problem.
Mais de toute façon, écoute, tu fais l'appel, moi je...
Yeah, I'm on the phone. On the phone to
À quelle heure?
I don't know. No say.
Huh?
In that exchange, he showed me his ID and a load of postcards of various destinations around the world. all of which have seen better days, but interesting that he had them. And he lost his ID inside the pile of postcards, and I think he thought I'd run off with it, which, believe me, I would not do. Trump's really ruined, believe me, isn't he? It used to make people sit upright and think, well, he's about to say something believable, but now, because of that prick, as soon as I say believe me, it's filled full. I mean, it's like it's a car salesman line now. You just know that it's a precursor to utter bullshit. Anyway, all of that to say that this guy wanted to get me across the mouth of a delta on a rickety old boat for 100,000 sephers, and what you don't know is I've already organised a boat for tomorrow that's 70,000 sephers. So there's no point having this conversation. But I was a bit worried that 70,000 sephers was a bit expensive because I don't have any frame of reference. So, like any diligent man, I decided it might be quite a good idea to get a second quote. And he's coming in at 100 grand. I just tapped on his calculator a couple of times, 80 grand and 90 grand to see if he'd move. He ended up taking 90 grand. But I don't know him. He doesn't speak any English. And the concept of being on a boat with that guy for 4 hours, albeit that I weirdly do trust him, I mean you just have to, doesn't fill me full of joy, particularly because you didn't see the boat, but if you've ever been to Thailand and you've seen those long wooden ones that they use for fishing that have absolutely no cover and the only bit of material on the whole boat is a very small flag, then you'll know what it looked like. So it was going to be chronic sunburn and a breakdown emotionally and very much mechanically, I would imagine. So yeah, not going to be doing that. But that's a little insight into the world of moving around Senegal, because you might say, well, why don't you pop yourself online and look at Google Maps? Or why don't you go to a local hotel and ask one of the members of staff? Or why don't you go to type into Google Senegal ferries, and I'm sure they have a very orderly and respectable website that's easy to read in multiple languages that talks exactly about the exact time of departure. Well, buddy, that is not Africa. No, this is where you get chatting to people and stuff just happens. Also, it's really good for your confidence, because if you're an unconfident person, after the first 3 days of crying your eyes out in Africa, you will pick yourself up and realise that basically, unless you talk to people on a regular basis, regardless of your language skills, you're not going anywhere, ever. And you're probably not even going to have anything to eat or drink either, so good luck. So you end up being a bit of a cocky shit like me. You too can be a cocky bastard. So I'm just walking past a donkey. Hello. I love that. I said I'm walking past a donkey and a goat made a noise. That's very confusing. You'd at least think that they could act on cue, these farmyard animals. Right, I'm back on the main road, if you can call it that. A couple of cars, dusty donkeys, women with bowls of fruit and what have you on their head. And a bunch of very old, very broken down Citroens and Peugeots. It's like French car heaven, as in they're all dead. not as in they're in a good condition for French car lovers. Yeah, so that's what you do. Sorry, it's probably a bit laborious, but you get the idea. If you want to talk to people about your next manoeuvre, take it with a pinch of salt, because the fact is that I have organised my boat for 70 grand and it is going to take 4 hours. That means it's probably going to take 5.5 hours and might end up being 75 grand, or at least there'll be a conversation about it being 75 grand. But it's all right. Like, once you've been into it for a couple of days, you just go, all right then, well, that's the way this world works. And you stop getting your knickers in a knot, which is exactly how you end up enjoying yourself. If you continue to say, well, this wouldn't happen in London, this wouldn't happen in Toronto, then you're going to have basically an experience of hell on earth. So lay back, enjoy the madness, say hello to a donkey. Hello, donkey. Just nothing, just a tough crowd in the donkey world. And I'm going to go into a bar now and have a beer. You can come with me and then I'll stop the recording. Just walking in the last bit of the hot sun past a man with a ski jacket on. Wow, are you not hot? Oh. Show, no? Show. Woo! Okay, good chat there. One of my best. And here we are in the bar. Hey man.
Hello.
How you getting on?
Away.
Woo! Show. What have you got? Flag, s'il vous plaît. Nice. Merci beaucoup.
Ni seet naa la ci kanam gu ma gis ci mbedd bi yeneen naa yoonu cinéma yoonu amal fii ci biir loolu laa doon sos yoon wi may jaar bés bu ne ma xëy jaraw yow nga di ma ree.
When a white man go to photograph,
Yeah.
the money man, black man, no.
Ah.
When accompany you,
Yeah.
and thank you.
There's no problem, huh?
No problem.
Oh, okay. Well, this guy.
Because I'm living here.
Okay.
All people know this man. All people.
I am popular.
I get it.
Popular.
Yeah.
You know, all people, man met all the girls.
Does he?
Well,
Oh. All the ladies.
He's a crazy man.
no. No reality. It's no reality.
Yeah.
Exactly. When you go with me, no problem for you.
Okay, good.
You are?
Really? He's really crazy. Okay. He doesn't look that crazy. He looks about as crazy as you.
Ni seet naa la ci kanam gu ma gis ci mbedd bi yeneen naa yoonu cinéma yoonu amal fii ci biir loolu laa doon sos yoon wi may jaar bés bu ne ma xëy jaraw yow nga di ma ree.
Midnight, or thereabouts. Pretty late in Senegal. A few people wandering around. Unsurprisingly, from the soundscape, you might detect that I'm on a motorway. Sorry, beach. I like to keep you on your toes. Looking at the moonscape, the moon bouncing off the Atlantic Ocean. There's a dude, cross-legged, contemplating his existence, I feel. Probably just thinking about, has he got enough cheese in the fridge? Has he got a fridge? No one eats cheese here. Most of this is bollocks. I don't know what he's thinking about. I'd ask him if I spoke French. What's the fucking chance? Also, it's a bit weird standing next to someone on the beach asking him what he's thinking about. Anyway, he's just got up. Let's just assume that he's thinking about, should he have kids? Because he looks about 20. Yeah, let's go with that. He's in Senegal, so the answer is yes. 45% of the population is under 14. How about that? Let's go and say hello to him. I realise this might go very, very long. Hey, bonjour. What are you doing? Ah, fishing.
Oh, yeah.
What's that? Oh, I see. He's showing me a bag with some fish in it. Oh, they're still alive. Ah, fantastic. Perfect. Nice. Okay, good luck. Keep going.
Oui.
Oui, Mom. Okay. So there's your answer. he's fishing. I mean, I did say it was dark out. He just got a nice fish out of a bag, still quivering. Oh, fair play to him. That's fantastic. He's probably not doing that for market. I should imagine he's doing that for his own consumption. So, good throwback to a few thousand years ago. But let's not take that lightly. That's still the life of, I don't know, a couple of billion people on this planet. Yes, we go to idiotically expensive supermarkets and eat fish that we ultimately possibly should feel slightly guilty about. There he is, knocking out his rod into the Atlantic and pulling in a couple here and there. Right, so that got a bit journalistic. Let's go back to the fun stuff. I just had a couple of pastisses. Pastis is a French drink that is mixed with water, which every time I've ever gone on a ski trip, yes, I'm a privileged arsehole, I've always thought, I don't know what that is, but it seems a bit weird that you'd mix it with water and it makes a cloudy white liquid. And I've always sort of laughed at it because I never really liked it. The last place that I expected to get into it was here in Africa, but I love it. It's aniseed essentially. If you have Greek roots, it's essentially ouzo, and it's bloody gorgeous. So I've just had a couple of goes on that. I'm a bit wobbly, but it is a testament to this town that I'm heading back completely and utterly sober. Well, sorry, did I say sober? I meant safe. Yeah. Yeah. The sky is full of stars, the crickets are singing, and let's walk back over the, let's call it a main road. A lot of donkeys. So there's a gate to my campsite. I've got like a tiki hut and it's tied up with rope. So I'm just undoing the rope to get in. And when I do get in, even though it's quite late, okay, I'm in. There might be a dog run at me. Just remind me to be cool. Okay, I'm going to tie it back up. A few people on the road looking at what I'm doing. Yeah, everything's cool. Okay, cool. I don't know what the fuck that is. It sounds like a warthog in the distance. When I say the distance, I mean about 20 metres. Let's find out. Honestly, it's never boring. It's never boring here. It's just an idiotic journey from one moment of weirdness to the other. You'll never really work out when your equilibrium finally settles. Like, what's that? It sounds like a fucking dinosaur going off. And a few days ago when I first arrived in Africa, I would have shit myself and run. But now I've had so much weirdness bombarded at me on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, that this is probably just something fine. I'd be least surprised if it was a fiberglass dinosaur that they'd found in a European museum they've recycled. I don't know, I'll never find out. I'll go to sleep now. I'll wake up in a couple of hours to the call of prayer, because Ali would need to remind me that I have been a terrible person. Note for Vinny, note for the podcast. I had a fucking brilliant night. I had a really good night. I really enjoyed it. As I walk in perfect heat back to my house, my little hut on the beach, I feel truly alive. Okay, fuck you very much. You've been a great audience. I'm going to sleep on a beach. Yes, I'm a lucky bastard. Don't hold it against me. Good night, sweetheart.
So there you are, and you can tell I had a good night because I completely forgot to tell you what I did. It was an evening of drinking pastis with some French guys in the only bar in town, situated near the beach on a sort of dirt road full of chickens and donkeys. One of them was married to a local lady, and that lady brought a massive dish of fish and rice to our table, and all my new friends and I feasted throughout the evening. And then, as was fairly evident, I had a few drinkies, laughed my socks off, and then headed back to my beach shack where I was attacked by an asthmatic warthog. It was bloody brilliant, and the adventures continue. Join me as I hit country 81 next. I'm off to The Gambia. That's going to be in the same place that you found this podcast. If you do want a podcast of your own, whether it be a serious one or a silly one, and you need to talk to a production company, can I advise wemakepodcasts.uk? That's my production company. I make podcasts for other people sometimes, and if you want some information on that, then go to wemakepodcasts.uk. And no matter where you are in the world, do get in touch. My name is Vinny. Thanks for joining me as I've been travelling around, and as I say, the next episode will be Gambia, coming soon. This was mixed and produced in the UK by We Make Podcasts. For more information, go to wemakepodcasts.uk.